Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaitlyn. I am sharing and documenting everything there is on my journey to becoming a single mom by choice. As you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be sharing everything about transfer protocols and kind of next steps. I was able to meet with my fertility clinic this past week and really meet my new doctor, which I'm excited about. If you've been following me along through this journey, you'll know I wasn't really crazy about my last doctor. He has since retired. I just felt like with him, this is the protocol, and he used the same protocol for every single patient. I felt like it was very old school kind of style, and I love my new doctor. I felt like we had a great connection. She's female, obviously, versus my last doctor was male. Not that that makes a difference, but I just really felt like her bedside manner was much better, and she was open to talking through different protocols and the pros and the cons, and me personally, what I felt comfortable with, but also how it would work with where my fertility is. So really good meeting there with my new doctor. So let me backtrack a little bit for those of you that are new. So I went through an egg freezing cycle last March. I did 3 IUIs with one that was also canceled due to COVID in the middle of last year. In October, I did another egg retrieval to create embryos, and I was able to get 6 fertilized normal PGT tested embryos out of that cycle, which I'm very excited about. I met someone that obviously didn't work out. I pressed pause on the baby stuff. There's been a lot of changes with work, but what I really wanted to do this year was I wanted to schedule a consultation with my new doctor to talk through the different protocols, to get all of my ducks in a row, because I do feel I may be closer to doing a transfer, whether that be in May, June timeframe, or potentially this fall. I just want to be able to have all of my ducks in a row so that when I feel ready, I can press go and not have to wait for any new testing or any new updates there, or not run into any delays. So I met with her. We went through transfer protocols. If you're not familiar with IVF, there's typically like 2 protocols that most doctors will use. They'll talk about a controlled medicated cycle, and they'll also do a modified natural. So with a controlled medicated cycle, you will do estrogen to start the process, whether that be pills or injections, and that basically quiets your ovaries and does the work of the ovaries to build your uterine lining. Then from there, you would do progesterone and oil injections intramuscularly right before your transfer, leading up until about 10 weeks pregnant. I'm terrified of the progesterone shots, okay? That is probably one of the bigger hangups for me, is the progesterone shots. I am doing this alone, and I am not a huge fan of needles. Obviously, this process has made me a lot more comfortable with needles because all of the egg retrievals, but the intramuscular ones I'm not a fan of, and the thought of having to do that every single day up until I'm 10 weeks pregnant is a little bit daunting, if I'm being honest. And then there's the modified natural. So modified natural, you can either use letrozole or nothing, build a normal follicle like you would in a regular cycle, do a trigger shot to start ovulation, and then your transfer from there, and then usually progesterone suppositories to help sustain the pregnancy. That sounds so much better to me and so much more doable. So I did letrozole for my IUIs. So the plan that we ultimately came up with was that I was going to do a modified natural cycle for at least my first transfer. If the first transfer doesn't work, we would explore possibly doing a medicated cycle from there, but we're definitely going to start with a modified natural. Because I used letrozole for my IUIs, we're going to do letrozole again just to give me a little bit of a boost and build a really strong follicle. From there, I will do a trigger shot and then progesterone suppositories from there, and that seems very doable for me, and I'm very excited about that option, and that she was even willing to explore that with me. My last doctor, when I was planning to do a transfer in December before I met the guy I was in a relationship with for a few months, and he was like, nope, we're doing controlled, medicated. There wasn't even a talk of modified natural, and didn't even mention it, and it was just, this is what we do. This is the protocol. This is successful. Well, my new doctor tells me there really is no difference in the success rates, is what they're finding, as long as it's timed appropriately. It's just harder to time things with a modified natural, and you have to come in to do more monitoring so they don't miss that LH surge. And because your body is already producing progesterone naturally from that follicle that you ovulate, you don't need the progesterone and oil shots. So it's kind of a win-win, and I think the more natural way of doing it just fits me better. So I'm very excited about that. But because this has been such a long, drawn-out journey for me, all of my testing had been, completely done. It's been over a year. So I needed to get everything refreshed. So I repeated my saline sonogram, which everything looked normal there. I repeated my HSG, again, perfectly normal HSG. That one did not bother me at all. I know it bothers a lot of people, and you have cramping, and I had some slight cramping, but nothing worse than period cramps, probably like day 2 period cramps for me. So it really wasn't bad at all. And then I repeated all my blood work, and my AMH actually increased, which I thought was interesting. Nothing to be concerned about. Supposedly your AMH does increase and fluctuate up and down within a little bit of reason. They told me there's nothing to be worried about, or anything like that, because you can read online that it can be a sign of PCOS if it increases, or ovarian tumors, which obviously very scary. The Google machine, not exactly my best friend. So that's where we're at. All of my testing is done. I'm ready to go. Everything came out normal. I'm going to be moving forward with a modified natural cycle. I just got my next assignment for work, so the craziness starts again in the mid-April kind of time frame through the beginning of June. I think the earliest I would plan a transfer is probably the end of May or end of June is probably the earliest. Also kind of balancing, do I want to have one last summer, not pregnant, enjoying time with friends, going out to wineries and doing that? Or do I want to jump forward and, get pregnant this summer? I also am working towards, a savings goal that I'd like to have in place for baby. If you haven't watched that video on logistics and planning, go check that video out. But that's kind of where we're at. I just wanted to give you all an update because I'm very excited about the transfer protocol, and it makes it feel so much more doable than it did previously, and especially doing it alone and not having that support doing the shots on a daily basis for that extended period of time. So very excited, still kind of in a pause waiting game. So not a ton of updates to share with you, but just thought I would share the latest and the greatest. And stay tuned for my next videos. I'm going to share some baby names and kind of take you along the journey. And I think before you know it, we're going to blink and it's going to be May, and we may get started with a transfer. So see you in my next one. Bye.